I mean,
If
big
you want, real
one.
quick, we can run a mock. We can run a mock draft
Yeah.
real quick, see what we're thinking
All
after the
right.
Senior Bowl, because that is, there's a lot of guys that I like. I started watching Matthew Golden here recently. Big big fan of Matthew Golden. I gotta say, I think he's a great fit with what the Texans have at receiver, especially if Stephon Diggs comes back. He could play that other outside role until Tank comes back, and then Tank probably kind of goes into a depth role because I don't necessarily ever know if Tank's going to kind of be this receiver too that he was at one point. So I think Matthew Golden makes a lot of sense for
Yeah,
the
I think
Texans.
Matthew Golden makes a lot of sense. I think Emeka Ibuka is probably the more well-rounded player.
I agree. I agree.
And
I
so
like I like
it's
Ibuka more. I
really
think
tough
Ibuka's
to
gone by
say,
25 though. In
right.
my personal opinion, I think he's gone at that point.
I think he absolutely should be taking 425. I think teams might really like Matthew Golden.
I
But
do
also,
too.
I think Savion Williams is easily the most talented guy out of the three, though. I think he's right there.
All right. So here we
But
go. So
could
we
do
could just some interesting names here. I know people have talked about Zabel. He went one pick before. I like Menbo or Mendebo. I forget how you say his name. I like him a lot as a player. Golden's on the board. We could go with him. What are you thinking here? I like Connolly as a player too.
Yeah,
Who are
so
you thinking here,
I
Drew?
haven't watched film on Membu yet. If it was up to me, my pick probably would have been Gray Sabell because he actually was playing guard and center at the Senior Bowl, and I think he
Uh-huh.
has the potential to be more
I
elite.
will say Menbo. He does kind of project as a guard. I know he didn't play
Like,
it
well, they took his
at
measurements and
Missouri.
they took his measurements and he came out to be like this, huge, massive human
Okay.
being. It's more of a
I know people
tackle.
have talked about him being a guard. I think he
But
could play guard, but I do like him as a player.
overall, as
But
a player,
yeah,
be productive. I just look at the same time. Part of me really wants to just kind of ride it out with the offensive line a little bit because
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
it's a new scheme. It's a new O line coach
So
too.
we thinking Golden here. Is that what we're thinking? I think that makes.
I would just go with Matthew Golden here. I mean, look, I still hope they sign Stephon Diggs, but Matthew Golden is young. He's not. Diggs is the old one, and you got to worry about having a future as well. And I think that's a good spot to get a receiver.
Absolutely.
And
I mean, Donovan Jackson, who I think is going to go pretty high, would love him at 57. Um,
yeah,
he's
I,
guard slash tackle, played left guard the first 2 years, at Ohio State. I
right.
like
I
Willem.
absolutely love Darius Alexander. I will say.
Okay, yeah. I haven't actually got to watch him, but I know a lot of people really like him. You want to go with Alexander here? I'm cool with that.
We can look down. We can look down at the list a little more.
Booker will
We
be
got
gone. I'm
Tyler
not taking
Booker.
Booker.
I'm not gonna.
He'll be gone by this
I'm
point,
not
so
gonna
I'm
act
not going
like
to be
Tyler
unrealistic
Booker
about that.
is gonna be.
I
Also,
know I've seen a lot of. I know Arroyo. I know people have really liked him. I have not got to watch him yet. I haven't got
I
around to it, but I know he's very liked.
I did a little write
Um,
up on him. I think he's probably gonna be about second round pick as well. Marcus Mbao was on the board, but I think he's gonna be a first round pick as well from Purdue.
okay,
So
yeah. I
PFF
saw
has
him
some
going
weird.
high. Yeah.
PFF has some weird projections. I think Darius Alexander could also potentially be a first round pick. But some people want to act like he's a mid. When you talk about mid round sleepers, if you think he's a mid round sleeper, just imagine what NFL teams think that they are.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
Yeah.
sleepers to NFL teams. So I would
Yeah.
go Darius Alexander though, because based
Let's
on
do that. I think adding the interior defensive line depth for this team is very key because it's an older room. I think they played really well, but adding kind of a young talent to the room would be very, very nice.
also would have that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
He's not going to be there. I would also say that Devin Neal would be an option.
I agree.
That's because of
I agree with
film.
that.
That's because of just like if we're talking BPA, Devin Neal is probably a top 50 player in the draft, frankly.
Yeah, he's a very good
Um,
player. I really like
PFF
Devin
loves
Neal.
him, but his film is even more fun. Highly recommend watching his film if anyone wants to watch it.
I like Ratledge a lot. I don't know if he makes it to round 3. He might.
I think he is a third rounder. So I think that
Okay.
third round would be the perfect spot for Tate Rutledge to go. Like Makuba as a
I do
third,
too.
fourth rounder as well. So it
I do
wouldn't be
too.
bad value. I haven't, and then I also love Jordan Phillips from Maryland. I think
Yeah,
he's a
I need to
second
watch some of
round
these. I
talent
haven't got
though.
to watch the interior lines yet, but I've heard it's a really good class. I do need to get around to it.
And then for the
Um,
Texans, Jalen Noel could also be a good option because they need someone that can threaten deep, and he is he might run a 4.2
yeah,
something at the combine. The way
yeah,
he moves is just different from other human beings. He's a little bit
yeah,
shorter. I think 5'10",
absolutely.
5'9", but he moves
Yeah,
fast.
I think he's a good option, but I think if you draft Golden and you bring back Diggs, kind
Yeah.
of would be two receivers in the top three at that point would kind of be a little bit of overkill, even though I do think you need receiver depth. I think there's probably bigger needs. I would I would probably, if this is the board, I would probably go Ratledge, add yourself a little right
Are there
guard.
any? Oh yeah.
Um,
So they really just need offense linemen at this point. Go look at the tackles as well. There might be a tackle
gotcha.
you
Yeah.
can move the guard. Just trying to I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Yeah, I would say Emery Jones could possibly be an option to move from
Yeah,
tackle to
yeah.
forward.
I think we did talk about him earlier in the season as potentially a tackle or a tackle that could be moved to guard. Um, tight end. Harold Fannon's
Um,
interesting. I like him as a player, but I don't necessarily know if he's like this
I don't know if
good,
he's
great fit, depending on
An
what the Texans.
NFL productive player because one thing that you have to think of when it's a tight end that can't block is you have to think of okay, so now he's just a receiver, and you have to think of
Yeah,
the other receivers and say, okay, do you like him more than the other receivers that are
yeah,
available?
yeah.
And it's not so
So you
sure.
said, would you like him more than Jalen Noel or Trey Harris? Right? Would you like him more than those
Probably
guys?
not in a modern NFL offense, but I would probably
Yeah.
try to find ways to use Harold Fannin and kind of develop him like Brevin Jordan. Brevin Jordan wasn't a good blocker out of
No, he
Miami. He
was
wasn't
not.
used as a blocker. So you can add so much value to someone like Harold Fannin if he just learns how to block. It's that simple. So I would stay away from Harold Fannin for now. But teams might not.
I agree.
They might try to develop that blocking trade.
I agree with you. So what do you think of pick one? I think Devin Neal's a good option. I think Ratledge is a good option. I like Makuba a lot. Which one would you go with, you think?
I think I would go with Tate Rutledge but
I
obviously,
agree.
if my team
I agree.
doesn't have Joe Mixon and Damian Pierce, I would absolutely have drafted Devin Neal.
Yeah, I agree
As
with you
simple as
completely.
that. And
Yeah,
then
no,
here, I
I
think the
agree with you on
Texans
that.
they definitely need to look for a safety. I would say um, it's very important. Also, you know what? I honestly might like Willie Lampkin more than Tate Rutledge. Um, I didn't even think about that.
I don't know if
But of
I haven't
course,
watched his film.
the
I played Damian Martinez in my national championship in my college football dynasty, and I got my ass kicked by this guy. I don't know if he's good in real life or not, but
yeah,
it did
and
that happened and it was frustrating.
um, I haven't watched film on Jacob Parrish, but I heard he had a really good either Senior Bowl or Shrine Bowl. I don't know which one he went to. But heard he did well there. Rashad Smith had a really good senior. This is irrelevant. The Texans don't need Rashad Smith. But or the Arizona running back that was on the board too. They don't really. There's a lot of talented players if you can't tell in this draft.
Yeah.
You'll hear that from me a lot. I love Elijah Huzzy though as a nickel, but I just told me the Texans be a
I know
nickel.
Quincy Riley had a good senior bowl.
He's really good on the outside action. Okay,
Mhm.
Shamar Jr.
Ian Rappaport tweeted he's a potential top 50 pick, and I don't know what he was watching, but that might have been an agent ploy. I don't think Shamar Turner's going top 50.
No. There's another guy from A&M though, right? That not Stewart.
Stewart. Yeah, Shamar
That's
Stewart.
Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's two
Yeah, he
Shamars.
went
That was confusing.
yeah, there's two Shamars. He
Maybe
went
Rappaport got it wrong.
yeah, he went 16 on the mock. He flew up boards. He had a really good senior bowl.
Maybe Rappaport just got it wrong. Frankly, I
Yeah, he
get
might
those
have.
Shamars mixed up.
I don't know because he tweeted out because Turner he got the picture right too because he tweeted out about how Turner was going to miss the Senior Bowl due to injury. So he got the picture
Yeah.
right. So I think he was talking about the right guy. I don't know. I think Shamar Turner was funny because he just talked shit and had like penalties every game, but was never that productive. Like he didn't do a whole lot. I didn't feel like. Um, not a bad player though. Like
Right.
round 4, I think he's a good pick, but I don't think he's
So
top 50.
here, I think the need is safety. Let's take a look at the safeties, and if there's no like player that we value, we'll just go with best player available. Definitely not Shiloh Sanders. I would consider. I haven't watched
As
his
far as
film.
Matt,
I've heard
as
good
far as
things.
Malachi Moore is down
I've
as he is.
watched Elijah, or not Elijah. I can't. The USC guy. I forgot what his name
Oh yeah,
was.
yeah.
Al,
Malachi.
Alki. More of a box. I like him more as a box safety though. I think the Texans need someone more that can operate from a 2 high with some range. So I haven't watched any of those safeties yet. That is something that I need to do for sure.
Yep.
We'll probably
Yeah,
spend
yeah.
some
No,
time
I need
on
to
that.
get around to a lot of these guys too. I've watched some, Bama and watch Malachi. I think he's a pretty good player, but uh,
So
he's kind of
I
had.
would.
I'm actually cool with going running back here if you want. I know we kind of have some running back. Yeah, we have decent running backs, but I'd be cool with
If
that
you
too.
really want
Or
to,
interior. We
yeah.
already went interior.
If you really want to take like a risk, I would take Ja'Cory Crossit or Krosky from. Oh, actually, I have a clip. I'm going to share my screen real quick.
Here, I may have to end. I think I have to slide from back
This
there, but I got it.
this is
All right.
I don't know exactly what his full name is, but Ja'Cory Krosky. He played one game this season in Arizona, and this play got called back. But just watch this. Tell me what you think. He got in and out of that out of that hole faster than I'd pretty much seen it, and I'd probably evaluated up to I want to say 10 running backs at this point. But that looked
Man, that's quick.
very,
Yeah.
very relaxed and
Yeah.
quick
No,
to me. So that
I'm
would be someone that's more of
yeah.
a risk. But
I
also
think
Rashad
I think in
Smith.
the fourth, I'm cool. I think I'm good with that in the fourth. If you're good with that, I think we could do that. Could make some sense.
But
Um,
I would also potentially go with Oluwafemi Odeheho or Odeheho. Yeah, that's how you pronounce
edge,
it. Could be a very fun piece for D'Amico Ryan's defense. He played off-ball linebacker, then he moved, to the edge in a wide 9, kind of a defensive end spot there. So that'd be fun. Really could go anywhere.
yeah,
But
because I think corner is a
I
spot
would
you
have.
could go to. The corner is an interesting one at this spot.
I just don't think it's a
Um,
need. I don't think. I'm not sure if that'll ever be a
yeah,
need.
yeah, yeah. I'm cool with Crossit or Krosky. You want to go with
Broski,
him?
sure.
Let's do that.
He played one game,
All
so
right.
you gotta trust me on it.
I'm cool with adding some running back depth. I think you can never have too much.
And then
Uh,
Jackson Hayes would be a
wh-
phenomenal person to add as well. I
let's
think
do
he
let's do
more of a
that. That
blocker.
works.
Well, we can look down. Oh,
Oh. Well,
but
I think we're pretty desperate for some tight end help at this point. So I
yeah,
think anyone
more of a
that
blocker. But I think he
Cowboys
has enough
going with Quinn
potential.
Ewers is funny.
I think he has enough potential as a route runner too. So,
I
and
will say
then
I watched when I was going through Matthew Golden film. Quinn Ewers is awful. That guy sucks. I don't know how. I
no,
don't
it's
know how
bad.
teams are gonna. He's pretty bad.
Really bad. Really bad.
Corner
I
maybe.
would probably
Let's
take
see.
Mac Williams here. I think I got like a late 3rd round grade on. Oh, Joshua Gray too would be a really good option. He played tackle and guard at Oregon State. So
Okay, yeah,
um,
cool. Do you want to go with him? Add some line depth. What was the other guy you said?
Mac McWilliams. So this, in your opinion,
One right
here,
here.
do we take another offensive line piece,
I
or
am
are you
bigger on
thinking
going corner depth,
right?
at least
Because
for
Mac
me,
McWilliams
because
can play inside and outside. So there's actually a lot of
that's
value there.
exactly what I was. That's exactly what I was thinking. Because I do think the one thing that I think you can add defensively is a corner to play in the nickel on like 3rd down. Like 3rd and long. We want to have Petrie kind of off the field, not that great in coverage. If you want to man up or anything like that, I think adding that versatility would be nice. So I'm
And
really
that would be
good with
Mac
going
McWilliams.
corner
But
here.
I would say I'm not sure he would actually be available in the 6th round. But still,
Yeah, that was 7, so he probably would not be available in the 7th. But who knows?
that was the 7th. Yeah.
we kept it realistic somewhat. I feel like we did a pretty decent job.
Yeah. I would maybe once I really dive into Willie Lampkin, I would say he could be a really intriguing option. But he is 5'10", 270. And I don't know how that's going to work in the NFL.
Yeah. But I like this draft a lot. I think you address a lot of big needs. You get Golden as your long-term second receiver. Darius Alexander, I haven't watched, but I've heard a lot of good things about. And he'd add a good piece to the defensive tackle room. Ratledge is a guy that I really like. I've watched a lot of him at Georgia. I think he's your long-term starting right guard. But I think what's nice is with the line depth you have, I don't necessarily know if he's going to be forced into a role that he immediately has to play. I think they'll make moves in free agency as well. So definitely an interesting draft. I like this draft a lot. I think I'd be pretty happy with this. How do you feel?
Yeah. I think Tate Rutledge is very pro-ready. And I think the fun thing about Darius Alexander would be that he wouldn't actually have to – and, well, frankly, they rotate the entire defensive line.
Yeah,
So when he played at Toledo, he would just play like snap, 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 and then they would rotate. But with the Texans, it's a more fluid rotation.
Yeah, they rotate consistently.
So I feel like when he's fresh, and if you look at the Senior Bowl tape, I would assume he's pretty fresh for that. He's just absolutely dominated one-on-ones. Like, he was a great run stopper already at Toledo. Not much of a pass rusher, I think, because he was playing so many snaps, and he just put on a
yeah.
And so that would be a great pick there, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm in on adding defensive tackle. I think I've seen Walter Nolan talked about it like the potential first-round pick. Not necessarily know if I would do that over a receiver or even line, but Walter Nolan is a very good player.
Like, if looking at the roster at the start of the season, you've been like, yeah, maybe we need to do that. But they all played so well, and they, Settle, Folu, which probably maybe the third best, Mario Edwards, like they all played so well, and so
and what's funny is we've kind of talked about it. I think I've talked about it in the Swarm group chat we have. I really think that the Bengals are going to cut Sheldon Rankins, and I think he's a possibility to just come back. And he was a good player. I like Sheldon Rankins as a player. I think he's a possibility to, they have some free agent defensive tackles. I would not be shocked if Sheldon Rankins is on this team next year.
Is it really
a good fit in the defense?
That?
And I've seen a couple Bengals reporters talk about how they think he's going to get cut. He didn't play a lot. He's getting paid a good amount of money. I've seen the talks about him getting cut. Not necessarily that it's going to happen, but I have seen stuff about it. And I think he's a good fit in the defense. And I think they tried to keep him. it didn't happen, but they tried. They offered him a contract to stay in Houston, and he went to Cincinnati. So, and Folu's a free agent, I want to say. I think there's another. Edwards is also a free agent. You probably keep one, maybe the other one leaves, and then you bring Rankins in. That's, and then you could draft Alexander. You got a very deep defensive tackle room, and even then, Autry could kind of slide more outside as your third edge if you need to. Very versatile front for the Texans.
Yeah, forgot about Autry. It was so odd that they didn't draft a defensive lineman last year, and it ended up not mattering. But I think this is
it worked out. Yeah.
This will be the year.
Yeah, because
it's such a good spot to be in, and like they're so good at utilizing them. I think that they should be so comfortable about just drafting someone that they like the traits of in the third round or the fourth round or even the second, like we saw there. Like, that player will pan out if they just keep doing what they've been doing with all the guys up front.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, and I think now, you're in the spot where not necessarily that I think the Texans don't have needs, because they do absolutely still have needs. There's not like a roster full of needs, though. They kind of need interior defensive line or interior offensive line. They're going to need, they're going to need another receiver, but there's not a ton of needs. You kind of can, after a couple rounds, after, a round or two, you can kind of just go best player available. Just who do we think is the best player? Who can we develop into a player that, you think, and especially in the situation where Ratledge you get in the third round and you get Golden in the first. At that point, those are probably your two biggest needs, and they're filled. So, and then free agency, whatever you do in free agency, they're going to have money because they're going to restructure contracts to open up money to get, probably go after a guard, maybe, probably re-sign Diggs, stuff like that. There's a lot to like. And I know our guy Cal, I know he's probably watching. Not big on Folu, which is funny because I like Folu. I know you like Folu. He did not like Folu very much, but
So it
I think
sounds like
Folu's a good player.
needs to get some glasses. What it sounds like.
I think Folo is easily the biggest impact on the line defensively, or not in the interior.
Yeah,
Very good run defender. And then you take him out on pass downs. You put Settle and other guys in. He's a very productive player, I thought, this year. I liked what he did.
yeah.
Um,
But best player available, like you said, just it sounds so exciting. But last year they really pissed me off with their best player available value picks and Fisher and Stover. So I'm hoping this year that that they'll actually do something I can agree with. But yes, the idea is
hopefully,
there.
hopefully.
The idea is there.
Hopefully. Well, I think we've actually covered a lot here. I know we plan on doing an episode. Hopefully, we bring a guest on when they hire an offensive coordinator. Whenever that is, I would assume probably sometime early this week, maybe middle of the week. Plan to kind of record an episode, just get that out for y'all. Maybe we could even do something, some type of space thing coming up here soon, free agency, some type of thing like that. That could be pretty fun. Definitely got a lot of plans coming up for the off season. I think it's gonna be a fun offseason for the Texans, and definitely looking forward to the offense next year without Bobby Slowick calling plays. It would have been a little bit rough over this offseason having to cope ourselves into talking about how the offense is going to improve with Bobby Slowick calling plays. But now we don't got to worry about that. We can be excited about one of the new coordinators that we're going to bring in here in a sec, or here pretty shortly, I would assume. We thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for the support throughout all this season. I know I had a really fun time doing this throughout the season. It was really fun for our first year. Definitely plan on doing this again next year. I think hopefully next season's even better. Texans can get to places they haven't been before. I think it's definitely possible with the moves that they can make in this offseason, starting with coordinator, obviously. We thank y'all for all the support, and we will see y'all next time.